Alycats and you viewers. So today I'm bringing you part 2 of my October 2017 favorites. If you're new to the channel and don't know what favorites are, that's where I list everything I loved in the entertainment industry over the month. And I always split these into 2 parts because I have way too many favorites for one person to have, but I still manage it. So if you'd like to check out part 1, I'll have that linked up here and also in the description box down below. But let's get started. First up are the movies I enjoyed, which by the way, if you'd like to get a sneak peek of the movies I don't mention in these videos, or if you'd like to see what I rate these movies before the videos come out, follow me either on Letterboxd or check out my blog where I write written review roundups of all the movies. But let's dive in now. The first movie I actually thoroughly enjoyed and was surprised that I enjoyed so much was The Babysitter. This is a Netflix original film that is directed by McG, which when I saw that I was like, oh my gosh, this could be really bad. But it's not. It's actually really entertaining. The Babysitter follows a prepubescent boy and he has a really hot babysitter. One night his parents go away, so his babysitter is staying overnight to take care of him, but his friends have dared him to stay up and see what his babysitter does when he goes to sleep. Well, his babysitter kind of is in a cult, and when he finds out, his life is caught in the crosshairs. And this is just a really funny, entertaining, gory film that I had such a fun time watching. It was perfect for setting the Halloween mood, and it had some really incredible one-liners, like, what kind of dick shoots a girl in the boob? Like, that was my favorite line out of the whole freaking movie, I swear. It stars Samara Weaving, Bella Thorne, and Robbie Amell, and I highly recommend you check it out if you're looking for a really entertaining, really funny, not really scary horror movie, but it's actually really well done, which surprised me because I was like, this is directed by McG. It might not go well, but it did. The next movie up is Sully. This is directed by Clint Eastwood and stars Tom Hanks and Aaron Eckhart. And this follows the true story of Chesley Sully Sullenberger, the man who successfully landed an airplane on the Hudson River, and the ensuing media firestorm that came after that occurrence, and how he was investigated to make sure that he wasn't drinking or taking drugs, and that he couldn't actually go to a nearby airport. And it was a really fascinating account of this man's life, and Tom Hanks just totally slayed the role. He just brought so much justice to Sully. And I was really intrigued by the whole entire case. Even though I'd heard about it on the news so many times when it first happened, I was still really intrigued by the story. I think Clint Eastwood did a terrific job directing it, and it felt really respectful to the story and to Sully and to his co-pilot and to all the passengers aboard. I just felt like this was a really well executed film. Now the next movie up is the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I expected this to be cheesy, but it's actually very well done. It is unnerving, and it was just really compelling from start to finish. It's not super scary in my opinion, but the effects were really well done for the time. I thought the acting was pretty good, and I was just really intrigued by the concept of this film. And I do want to watch the remake of the film that starred Donald Sutherland, but the original is really good. And I highly recommend you watch it if you haven't seen it already. The next movie up is Adaptation. This is directed by Spike Jonze and was written by Charlie Kaufman and stars Nicolas Cage and Meryl Streep. And this movie is so meta that it's just completely off the wall bonkers that it works. This is set 6 months after the release of Being John Malkovich, which of course Spike Jonze directed and Charlie Kaufman wrote. And Nicolas Cage plays both Charlie and Donald Kaufman, and he is trying to write his next film, and his next film is an adaptation of a book called The Orchid Thief, which was written by Susan McLean, Meryl Streep's character. And this book follows both him trying to write and adapt this novel into a film, but it also follows Susan McLean and her journey writing the novel, and it's just so meta and there's just so much going on, but it works. It's just so quirky and charming. I love Charlie Kaufman as a writer. Nicolas Cage acted his heart out in this film. Meryl Streep was fantastic as she usually is, and Spike Jonze, I just freaking adore him as a director, and this film is a masterpiece. Don't know why I haven't seen it sooner, but you have to watch this if you love Spike Jonze, if you love Charlie Kaufman, if you were a fan of Being John Malkovich. watch this movie if you haven't already. The next movie up is a very divisive film, but I really loved it, and that is Personal Shopper. This stars Kristen Stewart, and she is carrying most of this movie on her shoulders. She plays Maureen, who is a personal shopper living in France, and she is trying to communicate with her dead twin brother Louis. She is also being contacted by a mysterious person who keeps sending her these text messages. Some of them are really suggestive, some of them are threatening. She has no idea who the hell this person is. And I just found this really intriguing. I loved Kristen Stewart in this role. I thought she did a fantastic job. I loved Olivier Assayas's, I hope I said his name right, direction. And I loved how this story could be interpreted in so many different ways, and how it was a meditation on grief and about trying to find yourself and wanting to be a different person, to break free from the cage that you're captured in. And I just think it's just a wonderful film that I'll definitely rewatch. It says a lot that this film was immediately released on Criterion Collection Blu-ray. So yes, I do recommend this if you're into arty films that make you think. The next film I really enjoyed was Dario Argento's Inferno. Now, when this movie first started, I was like, what the hell is happening? I did not understand it, but as the film went along, it slowly opened up to me, and I finally started to grasp, oh, this is what this film is about. And what I love about Dario Argento's work is that he makes the macabre gorgeous. He is one of the only directors I know that can make just brutal scenes just look so stunning. And I love his aesthetic. He uses a lot of blues and pinks and purples and reds to color his films, and it just works so well, and I just really enjoyed this film. It's definitely a cult film, but it's really, really good. And lastly, on the film front is Pumpkinhead. I was really surprised that I liked this film as much as I did. This is directed by Stan Winston, who is the famous FX guru, and stars Lance Henriksen, and Lance Henriksen plays a father who, after an unpleasant encounter with a group of teenagers, summons this evil entity called Pumpkinhead, and soon faces the consequences of what he's done. Now, the teenagers in this film aren't really fleshed out, and I didn't really care about them besides a couple, but Lance Henriksen's character story was so moving and so heartbreaking, and I was just so invested in his character, and he just did such a fantastic job in this film, and I really loved the story. Like, it was just a really good movie to watch on Halloween. And I liked the effects work, obviously. I thought it was really well done, and it's definitely one of those films that flies under the radar for a lot of people, but it should be watched more because it's just really well done, like I said. It's actually a really affecting story that I wasn't expecting when I first started the film, so I highly recommend Pumpkinhead if you're into horror. For TV, the show that just absolutely captivated me and held me in its thrall was Stranger Things 2. This is even better than the first season, which is really hard to say, but it's true. It's so much better. The added characters are each valuable. They're not just throwaway characters, they add to the story. I love the continuing story of the characters from the first season. This is a much darker and spookier season. And I love just the nostalgia, the soundtrack was incredible. Just watch Stranger Things if you haven't seen it already. It's fantastic. And lastly, for games, the one I loved the most this month was Life is Strange Before the Storm Episode 2. I am loving this prequel series to Life is Strange. The narrative is fantastic. After I played this game, I felt like Rachel Amber so much. Like, I connected with her character so freaking much. Like, I wanted to rebel just like Rachel Amber did. And I just love the continuing story of Chloe Price and figuring out what occurred during the years before she reconnected with Max in the main Life is Strange game. I love seeing her relationship with her mother's boyfriend, and the people at Blackwell Academy. I love seeing her burgeoning friendship or relationship with Rachel Amber. And I think this is a really well done prequel series, and I cannot wait to play the last episode, but also really sad because it's the last episode. So those are my favorites for the second part of October. Let me know what your favorites were down below in the comment box. Like the video if you liked it, and also make sure to share the video if you liked it because that helps my channel grow. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button if you like what you've seen and heard because that would make me super duper happy, and also make sure to tap the notification bell so you'll always be alerted whenever I upload a new video or start a new live stream. And also, if you'd like to follow me on social media sites, those are all listed in the description box down below, along with part 1 of my October 2017 favorites. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Peace and kisses. Bye.
What do you mean Frank Randall is better than Jamie Fraser? You are out of your mind!
I'm so sorry you had to hear that argument, guys. But to make up for that fact, my face will be floating over here in the near future. You can click that face and it'll send you to my channel if you aren't already. And if you'd like to see my previous upload, you'll find that up here, and a playlist of videos that you can watch over and over on repeat over here. And yeah, I need to go back to the invisible person I was talking to and debate why Jamie Fraser is better than Frank Randall.